जी एवं राम शर्मा जी से अनुरोध करती हूँ कि वे सत्र आरंभ करें और हम सभी को मार्गदर्शित करें।
सभी को नमस्ते, गुड मॉर्निंग, जय महाकाल। आज का जो विषय है, फैमिली सिस्टम को हम मल्टी डायमेंशनल एंगल से समझने के लिए, तो पहले तो मेरे लिए सौभाग्य है कि मेरे साथ में एमआर वेंकटेश सर साथ में हैं। मुझे लगता है ये क्लियर है, पीछे तक ऑडिबल है जो मैं कह रहा हूं? ओके, कोई इको प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं है? ओके, सो एमआर सर साथ में हैं और ही हैज रिटन फैंटास्टिक बुक, एक्सेलेंट बुक ऑन दिस सब्जेक्ट almost 3 years back, and I have learned a lot from him. So it's my pleasure, honor to discuss this topic with you sir today. अब क्योंकि ये विषय थोड़ा सा जटिल है, इसलिए कि जैसा कोई भी सिविलाइजेशन का विषय होता है उसमें कई डायमेंशंस होते हैं। वैसे अगर मैं कहूँ तो फैमिली का इशू के लिए क्या कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी हो सकती है? आप कहेंगे कि परिवार की बात है तो हम फैमिली के कुछ इश्यूज को डिस्कस करेंगे, फैमिली क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है ये डिस्कस करेंगे, बट दैट इज समथिंग टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड। व्हाट टू डिस्कस अबाउट दिस? इसकी इंपॉर्टेंस हमें तभी समझ में आती है जब हम पूरे 3-4 जनरेशन की किसी सोसाइटी की स्टडी करते हैं तो। और इसको सिंपल बनाने के लिए कुछ इन्फोग्राफिक्स हमने तैयार किए हैं जो हम यहाँ पे डिस्प्ले भी करेंगे। मेरी वैभव से रिक्वेस्ट है कि अगर प्रेजेंटेशन अगर हम ऑन कर सकें। ठीक है, तो इस विषय को एंटर करने के लिए ही 1-2-3 बातें जो हमें बहुत ध्यान रखनी होंगी वो ये समझ लें आप कि किसी भी सोसाइटी और सिविलाइजेशन के इशू को आप कम से कम 3-4 जनरेशन के स्पैन में ही समझ सकते हैं। एटलीस्ट यू नीड 50 to 100 years ऑफ टाइम स्पैन टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट्स हैपनिंग राइट नाउ, व्हाट हैपेंड 50 years बैक एंड व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन 50 years लेटर ऑन। ओके, इसको आप नहीं भूले, क्योंकि इस विषय में कई बार बहुत पर्सनल इमोशनल इश्यूज भी आते हैं, उसको भी हम एड्रेस करने की कोशिश करेंगे। बट क्योंकि हम सिविलाइजेशन के पर्सपेक्टिव से फैमिली के इशू को देख रहे हैं तो ध्यान रखें सिविलाइजेशन के टाइम स्पैन को नहीं भूलें। जनरली हमारा टाइम स्पैन पिछले 10 वर्षों का या आगे 10 वर्षों का देखने का होता है, उससे ये इशू समझ में नहीं आएगा। सेकंड, हमें यह ध्यान रखना होगा कि ओवरऑल जब आप इंडिविजुअल से मैक्रो लेवल तक जाते हैं, मतलब जब स्केलिंग अप हो जाती है किसी इशू की, तो उसका डायमेंशन कंप्लीटली चेंज हो जाता है। सो ट्राई टू लुक दिस इशू नॉट ओनली फ्रॉम माइक्रो पर्सपेक्टिव बट फ्रॉम द लार्जर मैक्रो पर्सपेक्टिव एज वेल। थर्ड, व्हाट्स हैपनिंग राइट नाउ इज हैपनिंग यूनिवर्सली अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड बिकॉज everyone is now following the western economic development model, और उसके एक consequences हैं जो अब हमारे सामने आ रहे हैं, इवन वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज में भी और डेफिनेटली इंडिया में तो हम देख ही रहे हैं उसके consequences, और उसको हम गहराई से समझने की कोशिश करेंगे। तो ये जो प्रिलिमिनरीज हैं इसको आप ध्यान रखिएगा, टाइम स्पेन, माइक्रो और मैक्रो का रिलेशन, और साथ के साथ कि यहां पे सिर्फ कॉन्स्पिरेसी हो रही है और कोई फैमिली ब्रेक कर रहा है, इसके साथ साथ में 50 इयर्स के जो ये इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट मॉडल हैं वो हमें कहां लेके जा रहे हैं ये समझने की हम कोशिश करेंगे। एक बात और इसमें ऐड करना चाहूंगा मैं, इंडिया हैज सर्वाइव्ड द वर्स्ट काइंड ऑफ इन्वेजन एनीवेयर इन द वर्ल्ड for thousands of years. We survived because of various reasons. But there are always 3 or 4 factors that are important for survival. अगर इस स्ट्रगल में या सोसाइटी के कलेप्स में हम इमेजिन करें, तो सोसाइटी का कलेप्स 2 तरीके से हो सकता है. फर्स्ट एक्सटर्नल इन्वेजन से, और थर्ड इंटरनल उसके कुछ रीजंस हो सकते हैं इसके कारण. जब हम उस पर रिफ्लेक्ट करते हैं तो ये समझ में आता है, जस्ट थिंक अबाउट 1000 ईयर्स से हमारी सिविलाइजेशन क्यों बची रही. वी लॉस्ट आवर पॉलिटिकल किंगडम्स, राज्य हमारे हाथ से गए, पॉलिटिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हमारी बहुत हद तक डैमेज हुई, बट स्टिल वी कुड सर्वाइव दो वी गॉट वुंडेड. सेकेंड इज इकोनॉमिक हार्डशिप. हमारी अर्थव्यवस्था पूरी अस्त व्यस्त कर दी गई, स्टिल वी सर्वाइव्ड, ऑफ कोर्स इन वुंडेड वे. थर्ड इज सोशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड फोर्थ इज स्पिरिचुअल फाउंडेशन. यही 4 फैक्टर्स हैं जो किसी सिविलाइजेशन को ग्रो करवा सकते हैं या डिके का रीजन हो सकते हैं. What we are witnessing today is worse than, or it could be worse than what we have faced in last 1000 years. रीजन इज कि एक्सटर्नल इन्वेजन तो फिर भी आप लोकेट कर सकते हैं, पर इंटरनल डीके के कारण बहुत ग्रेजुअली नोटिस नहीं होता है. और जो सबसे बड़ा डिके अभी हो रहा है, जिसके कारण भारत बचा रहा, वो है उसकी सोशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का कलेप्स. और ये पिछले 20-25 वर्षों से शुरू हुआ है, और हमें इसकी गति कहाँ जा रही है ये साफ क्लियर समझ में आ रही है, जो पॉलिसी मेकिंग हमने या जो इकोनॉमिक मॉडल हमने साथ में लिए हैं. सो रिमेंबर, वी कुड सर्वाइव डिस्पाइट पॉलिटिकल sovereignty we lost. We could survive because, for various economic hardship, but we cannot survive if our social organization and social order collapse. Even no society can survive that. और अगर spiritual foundation गई इस सब के तहत, तो और भी कुछ नहीं बच सकता. So keeping in this mind, we'll try to investigate what are the reasons we are here for and why we are discussing family is the most important issue for our civilizational survival. Okay, so if we have this, can we have the next slide? So the first question that we are asking, can we have culture without family? How many of you think that we can have culture without family? If we think that we cannot have culture without family, but we are witnessing breakdown of family each day, every day in our society. So, just think about it, कि क्या बिना फैमिली, स्ट्रॉन्ग फैमिली सिस्टम के आप किसी भी इंडियन कल्चर को बचा पाएंगे नेक्स्ट 25 ईयर्स में, या नहीं बचा पाएंगे. इवन सोसाइटी का मतलब ही है कल्चर. यू कैन नॉट हैव अनकल्चर्ड सोसाइटी. इट्स लाइक जंगल लॉ. नेक्स्ट, कैन वी हैव स्लाइड्स हियर? ओके, दिस आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड विथ यू. नेक्स्ट, and society collapse, as I was discussing with you. Next. So, who's against family then? It should be very clear from the beginning कि हम क्यों बात कर रहे हैं कि फैमिली सिस्टम क्यों नहीं सरवाइव कर रहा. इसके लिए जनरली हम इंडिविजुअल ब्लेम करते हैं, गिल्ट फील करते हैं, कभी कभी ऐसा हो सकता है कि हम उस फेज में निकल रहे हो. बट फ्रॉम मैक्रो पर्सपेक्टिव, आई वुड लाइक टू ड्रॉ योर अटेंशन टू दीज फोर्सेस. यही फोर्सेस हमारी रीनिंग आइडियोलॉजी हैं आज के टाइम पे. यही हमारी इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी शेप कर रही हैं, यही हमारी सोशल पॉलिसी शेप कर रही हैं, यही हमारी कॉर्पोरेट पॉलिसी शेप कर रही हैं. एंड इफ यू लुक एट देम वन बाय वन, व्हाट यू विल फाइंड इज, आई विल जस्ट स्टैंड अप हियर एंड Marxist ideology, we have seen last 100 years, Marxism doesn't believe in any family structure. Okay? The next one is capitalist model of economy. And we know what capitalist model is doing, and we will try to learn from MR sir about this. I'm just giving you the pointers right now. Third is excessive consumption based model. In fact, our think tanks, even from right wing, they are promoting excessive consumption just to sustain our economy without realizing that this will break apart our family system. And market forces of globalization, no doubt about that. It's like, you are uprooting people from one place to another place without understanding the consequences. And the welfare state, of course, which we'll learn from MR sir about this, how welfare state acts as a slow poison for civilization. And we are not imagining this. We have track record of last almost now 75 years of Western society where it has led to. And the last is, of course, the polygamy and family sustainability. Polygamy is not only related with some religion, it is also feature of liberal democracy in another way, because it talks about multiple partners, giving them freedom and giving a state promotion to do that. Okay? Keep this in mind when we are talking about family also. Next. So here diagram or the infographics we have in mind. इसके बाद अब मैं जो डिस्कशन शुरू करूंगा, मेरा रोल यहाँ पे लिमिटेड होगा, and I'll be requesting MR sir to focus on these area one by one. Just to एक सिंप्लीफिकेशन किया है, कलर कोड को थेमेटिकली डिजाइन किया है, ये समझाने के लिए कि फैमिली का इशू आपके किन किन एरिया को इफेक्ट कर सकता है. बिकॉज इट्स समटाइम वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कॉम्प्रहेंड कि फैमिली की जो स्टडीज हैं वो किन किन इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी इश्यूज से कनेक्टेड है, कितनी कॉम्प्लेक्स है और कितनी सिविलाइजेशनली क्रूशल है. तो फर्स्ट ट्रैक होगा फैमिली का, हम शुरू करेंगे हैप्पीनेस, स्टेबिलिटी एंड टॉलरेंस से. देन वी विल कम टू द होल इशू ऑफ वेलफेयर स्टेट एंड लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी. द थर्ड पार्ट विल बी फ्रॉम कल्चर टू बिजनेस, family business, and maybe not the last, but they are designed in this way, that women's safety, support and monogamy. Okay, so it will be easier to keep track of all this thing. Next slide. Just click one time, one more. Okay, now I request MR sir to please take on to this. Why does he think that family system is so important that he has written almost 500 to 600 pages book, particularly on making us realize that why this issue is so complex and why this issue is so important for our civilizational survival.
Good morning to all of you. I'll speak in English, not because my Hindi is not fluent, but it will be better to communicate. But wherever I want to speak from my dil, मैं हिंदी में बोलूँगा. दिमाग का यूज़ करूँगा तो अंग्रेजी में बोलूँगा. So you had put in three pillars of our first round of discussion. Now, the root of these things goes back to family, because Grihastha is the most important unit in our entire socio-economic political dhacha. It is not the state, it is not the judiciary, it is not the executive, जो आज हम बात करते हैं. We say the three pillars of the constitutions are executive, judiciary and the legislature. But actually, सबको sustain करने वाला family है. And this family is not a family that we would see in some countries. And I come from a state where the culture of the state is defined in various Tamil Puranas as Oruvanukku Oruthi, meaning a man for a woman. That is Tamil culture, Tamil pride. And when we say a man for a woman, we say it is a biological order ordained naturally. It is not something that you create an artificial structure. So let me elaborate. When you indulge in polygamy, you must understand the basic natural algorithm is to produce one baby boy for one baby girl. So 25 years later, when they attain marriageable age, there is one dulha and one dulhan market में. So शादी हो जाती है. But एक दूल्हा 4 दुल्हन को ले जाएगा. 3 दूल्हे क्या बनेंगे? क्या करेंगे? जिहादी बन जाते हैं. The theological drive for become jihadi is not in a holy scripture. It is actually biological. That without the soft embrace of a family and a woman, the man tends to be indisciplined. And the theological basis that drives the biological urge is to tell them that if you are a successful jihadi, you won't marry one person, you can marry 72 in the other world. So look at the dichotomy there. It is so fallacious that you produce a religion or a system which encourages no marriage in this world. आपकी बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. मर जाने के बाद 72 के साथ आप शादी कर लो. मुझे बताओ यार, अभी जीना है, मुझे ये बताओ कि इधर में शादी होगी कि नहीं. Now comes, contrast it with what we say. As I said, Oruvanukku Oruthi in Tamil, and if you can bear me out, the book was dedicated to Lord Rama, and I called Lord Ram as a civilizational God. Civilizational God because he was married, he had children, and he was the symbol of the virtuous monogamous system. He did not flinch from anything. And under great provocation, temptation, he stood steadfast. So was Mata Sita. Both of them. And that is why, whenever we get married, our elders say, you should behave like Ram and Sita. That is the beauty of our system. So this, a man for a woman, or the family, was the first institution which was discovered by mankind. कौन सी संस्था? जब we were not Homo sapiens, but we were still apes. There must have been a transitory point when we graduated from apes to Homo sapiens. So, what is the difference between Homo sapiens and an ape? It must be culture. We brought in one culture. And what was that culture? That culture was a discipline. What was that discipline? The discipline was that as an animal you are entitled to be an alpha male, indulge in polygamy, you can take multiple partners, but once we say we are cultured, we define ourselves to say a man for a woman. That is culture. And that is the first institution. That reduced sexual competition amongst males and females, and they did not fight for a non-existent market. Market था. एक लड़का के लिए एक लड़की थी, एक लड़की के लिए एक लड़का था. But as an animal, there was a competition. It lowered the temperature in the market because everybody was guaranteed, because nature has given you. Right. And so everybody was guaranteed, so there was no fight. Once there was no fight for a basic biological need, the institution of marriage ensured human progress. Human progress can be traced to this fundamental institution. Now you ask for this stability. Palestinian Liberation Organization got some terrorists to bomb Munich Olympics में Germany में जो हुआ था, Israeli एथलीट्स पे, और वो लोग जाकर छुप गए, और छुपने के बाद उनको एक नया आधार कार्ड, पैन कार्ड सब दे दिए गए, जैसे कि आजकल हमारे यहाँ होता है, उनको भी किसी राष्ट्र ने कुछ दे दिया और शादी करवा दी, टेम्पररी इनको शादी भी करवा दिया, बोले कि आप शादीशुदा हो, चुपचाप बैठ जाओ। और जब इनको कुछ दिन के बाद बोला गया कि आप काम में निकलो, फिर बॉम्बिंग करना है, चलो, दे सेड वी विल नॉट कम, because we are now habituated to being a family man. We are very happy. We are very contented. We don't want to go in search of 72 hoors in the other world. We are happy with one hoor in this world. So the whole stability comes when you start marriage. Marriage means you become disciplined. Disciplined, that is why I always say, world over, economists are grappling with a word called recession. Recession means people don't want to buy. Why they don't want to buy? Because there is no demand. Why there is no demand? There is no need. Why there is no need? There is no family. हमारे यहाँ आप चलिए, अभी 10 दिन में दिवाली आ रही है, तो कुछ खरीदना पड़ता है, कुछ किसी को दान देना पड़ता है, अभी उसके बाद पोंगल आ जाएगा, मकर संक्रांति आ जाएगी, होली आ जाएगी, माने एक के बाद एक के बाद एक के बाद एक फेस्टिवल रहता है, दैट गोज ऑन ट्रिगरिंग डिमांड. बट इफ यू स्पेंड टू मच and you become bankrupt. In America they say I have filed chapter 11 bankruptcy. उसका एक ये होता है, अंदस्त होता है. Here people will frown on you if you say you are a kangal. So society does not want you to spend too much, and society also ensures that you spend in micro patches right through, so there is no recession. So this is why whenever there is a global crisis, I have traced in my book, there have been several economic crises, but the standard response of the Indian government, whether it is Congress government, BJP government, this government, that government, is that the fundamentals of Indian economy is strong. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि हमको कुछ करना नहीं है, गृहिणी देख लेगी. घर की गृहिणी सरकार को चलाएगी नहीं, लेकिन अपने घर को तो ठीक से चला रही है. You can clap more for the Grahini, because this is the person who is running the show. She ensures there is demand. And I do not know whether Ram sir will take it very sportingly. I say this whole economic theory that is being taught is bunk up in colleges. And I didn't say this. Paul Krugman says this, one of the Nobel laureates, reported in somewhere in June or July 2009 Economist magazine. He says much of what we teach as economics in schools in London and America is positively harmful at best, useless at worst. And what is this economics? There is a production. There must be production. Without production, there is no economics. And production must lead to consumption. आप सर मुझे you produce pork meat to me, I am not going to eat. So that is not economics. You must produce something, I must eat something. That is production, consumption. But if you eat everything and don't live for saving, then there is a problem. You have to borrow. If you don't get that, you will not invest. So there must be saving. So production से थोड़ा कमती होना चाहिए. Consumption must lead to saving. Saving must lead to investment, that must lead to again production. So this virtuous cycle is called economics. Production, consumption, saving, investment. Now, कभी-कभी ये हो जाता है कि प्रोडक्शन ज़्यादा होता है, कंजम्पशन कम हो जाती है. कभी-कभी ये हो जाता है कि आप सेविंग्स ज़्यादा कर देते हो, कभी-कभी सेविंग्स नहीं होती है, इन्वेस्टमेंट ज़्यादा होता है. So you get into all your economic policies is to balance this order. But a Grahini does this at a micro level. So all your economic policy, for monetary policy, fiscal policy, taxation policy, foreign exchange policy, this policy, trade policy, import policy, export policy. You can have any number of names, but it is managed by the householder, the grahastha, the grahani, and that gives you stability in the economy. That is why whenever there is an economic crisis, finance ministers of this country say, fundamentals of this economy are strong, which means grahani is running the economy, not me.
So I'll come to this part of economy later on also. What MR sir is saying is very crucial, because when he's trying to connect the link between how we became from primate to Homo sapiens and what role marriage or monogamy played in making us civilized, I think we have never studied that part of evolution very systematically. Whenever we look at the book of evolution, we have seen various other characteristics. कि जब टूल्स बनाना सीख गए तब फायर डिस्कवर कर ली, पर फैमिली का इंस्टीट्यूशन और मोनोगैमी और मैरिज का इंस्टीट्यूशन कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है, ये शायद हमने मिस कर दिया है पूरे एवोल्यूशन के चैप्टर में. इनफैक्ट इफ यू लुक एट दिस वे, यू विल फाइंड दैट द सेंट्रल रोल फॉर दिस सिविलाइजेशन प्रोसेस रेस्ट अपॉन वुमेन and no one else. Because man, if I can say through evolutionary studies also, is man is wild by nature. It's difficult to tame him. It's only grahani which make grahast and which brings family, home, house into the picture. Remember, this is important because still today we do not have research papers, PhDs, various policies keeping this into the center of our policy making. So first point that of course I wanted to discuss with him is related to peace, stability, order. I'll also mention one more thing here. Do you know who is the Vice President of America right now? J.D. Vance. He has written a wonderful book, Hilly Billy Economy or Hilly Billy Society, something on that line. It is his biography, nothing else. When you will go through, it's such a painful read. Why? He has thoroughly exposed through his own biography what it looks like when you live without your parents. When you are left with multiple fathers, stepfathers, when your single mother is upbringing you, what happens when family become dysfunctional chaos in society? Read about his biography. In 50 years, he is explaining thoroughly what happens when family break down. And think it from the perspective of not only your individual human right. Think about the kids, children who are raising up in such family. You will cry when you will read that biography. He has portrayed his own story and the American cultural and family disintegration that is happening in front of them, and they could not do anything. And that teaches us the importance of peace and stability. वैसे भी बहुत सिंपल है. आप इमेजिन करें कि आपका परिवार नहीं है या परिवार अनफॉर्चुनेटली किसी के साथ नहीं है, वो एक अलग बात है. बट अगर आप चला के उसे तोड़ रहे हैं, या आप देखते हैं ऐसे बच्चों को जो बिना माता पिता के बड़े हो रहे हैं या कैओटिक फैमिली में बड़े हो रहे हैं, उनका साइकोलॉजिकल डिस्टर्बेंस किस लेवल पे होता है. Later on they need psychiatric trauma for their survival and trauma struggle they have gone through. This is what J.D. Vance is writing about his biography. My question to all of you is, or maybe we need to churn it together, do we want to take this path which America has taken, which Western society has taken, and which they have themselves got into the trap? It's not individual fault, it is the way your policy, way your ideologies, way your institutions are going to get designed. So this was the first thing about family and individual peace, stability, the role of women. Let's come to the second point now. Next, please. Can we have the next slide? So the next point, of course, which MR sir has extensively dealt in his book, very wonderfully with lot of evidences, fact, data, and where it comes to the larger welfare state picture. Look, this is a simple thing. Family makes you civilize. Tame your animal instincts. And that is done through bringing the concept of responsibilities and duties instilled in you from the day one itself. बिना ड्यूटी और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के फैमिली नहीं हो सकती. बट दोज स्मॉल स्टेप्स दैट वी आर टेकिंग फॉर ग्रांटेड, लेट्स से रिस्ट्रेंट, personal responsibility, those are not incorporated in our constitutions also, which he has mentioned again in his book, that you talk all the time about rights and other things which is legally attached to the rights. So you are promoting right-based society rather than duty-based society. Family teaches you duty-based society. Your constitution is teaching you right-based society. There is inherent conflict in these civilizational values. And here we will try to understand what happens if we do not follow the path of restraint, duties. What happens if the family function is taken over by the state itself, which welfare state is doing right now, which Indian society through its modern Western education is completely imitating. What is happening in American society and Western society right now will be happening in India in the next 25 years, and we are sowing the seed right now. I request MR sir to please take us on to the journey of how from restraint and duties or to the welfare state and then to the societal collapse, what happened in between, and those steps we need to have very clear-cut mapping.
Thank you, sir. See, the degradation of America begins when the blacks, especially black women, start getting pregnant without marriage. Now, there was one undersecretary of the US government, Moynihan, जिसको इन ब्लैकों को देखकर बहुत तरस आ गया. उसने बोला, unwed mother at the age of 15, 16, and they are now 20% of the black women are unwed at the age of 15, 16, 17. Liberty karte, 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 they didn't know when to stop. And I will tell you a story. In 2008, in Massachusetts, young girls of 10th grade, वहाँ में 10th grade बोलते हैं, they went to the nearby health clinic and started doing pregnancy test, which was much more than the normal pregnancy test of the average. Suddenly एक surge हो गया था. तो the director of the health institute got panicky. He phoned up the principal phoned up the parents came. Then it was found out the girls had got into a betting match कि कौन पहला pregnant होगा. Now, अमेरिका में अगर उस बच्ची के साथ पिताजी या माताजी हस्तक्षेप करेंगे तो वो लड़की सीधा 9/11 दबा देगी और पुलिस आकर माता पिता को अरेस्ट करके ले जाएंगे. अगर आपने ऐसा सोसाइटी कर लिया, सोसाइटी का व्यू रचना ऐसा ढांचा बना दिया कि माता पिताजी का हक बच्चों पर नहीं है, तो 15 साल में 16 साल में प्रेग्नेंट बेबीज, आई एम सेइंग प्रेग्नेंट बेबीज will be the product of your system. So Moynihan was worried. So इसने उनको क्या कहा, अरे इस पे तो हमको तरस आ रहा है, तो स्कूल जाते वक्त इनको एक काम करते हैं, स्कूल में क्रेच रख लेते हैं जाकि दूध पिलाए बच्चों को, उसमें क्रेच में कोई बुजुर्ग देख लेते हैं. So we will create a crèche within school. So between periods, they will come and give milk, they will take care of the children and go back. Now this legitimized the black pregnancy. Instead of frowning upon it, you incentivized it. So black women, and after a particular time, they started giving doles. They said, अच्छा बेटा pregnant हो गया, कोई डरो मत, आपको सरकार से $1,000 आ जाएगा. Now what you did, the black woman now realized, why should I marry a man and wait for this $1,000 for him to bring after 30 days of hard work? I am anyhow getting it from the government. So black men were never part of the family. 75% of the black men are not in the family. जो पिछले मंथ में क्विर्क बोलकर एक आदमी था, उसको उड़ा दिया. They assassinated. He was a part of the right-wing Trump group. And he was only telling people, especially blacks, please get married and please stay faithful to your partner. Now this is the problem of America. तो इसका क्या हो रहा है? Since 1960, when Moynihan came in, till 2025, इसका कोई समाधान नहीं हो रहा है. Now not only black girls, white girls have also started getting pregnant, and there is a complete collapse of the family. That means government is putting money into the hands of these girls so that they take care of their children without a father. So in chapter 2 of my book, I have titled the chapter, Mummy, what is a daddy? किसी को माने there is no, it is a daddy-less family. माने you cannot even imagine. It is the problem of America. So what is happening? America is taxing those within the right wing, which are conservative, जो family चला रहे हैं, अपने आप के अंदर रहते हैं. This is the problem in America between Trump or Republicans and the Democrats. Democrats से जिस तरह से जीना चाहते हैं जीने दो यार, इसमें क्या है? आज किसी के साथ रहें, कल किसी के साथ रहें, इसको आपको क्या लेना देना है? It's a libertarian world. लेकिन to some extent we should credit Republicans. They say no, we cannot do this. Why? Because आपने एक एसप स्टोरी पढ़ा होगा, द ग्रासहॉपर एंड द एंट. समर में एंट अपना काम करता है, चींटी अपना काम करते जाती है, विंटर के लिए अपना खाना तैयार करके रख लेती है. ग्रासहॉपर डांस करता है, विंटर आती है तो ग्रासहॉपर के पास कुछ नहीं, ग्रासहॉपर मर जाता है, चींटी अपने आप सर्वाइव कर जाती है. लेकिन आज के जमाने में क्या होगा? Ant enjoying dinner, grasshopper shivering. Nation wants to know why. 9 o'clock यहां से 3 लोग चिल्लाएंगे एंट के पक्ष में, 3 लोग ग्रासहॉपर के पक्ष में. सरकार के पास पूछेंगे कि ग्रासहॉपर इतना कमजोर है, क्या करना चाहते हो? ग्रासहॉपर अपने मनमानी की यार, किसी सरकार के पास ये जुर्रत नहीं है, किसी सरकार के पास ये दम नहीं है कि करे कि ग्रासहॉपर समर में मुझे पूछकर डांस कर रहा था क्या? Why didn't he save during summer? कोई नहीं पूछेगा. लेकिन सरकार को बाध्य किया जाएगा कि सरकार उस पर हस्तक्षेप करे. सरकार हस्तक्षेप करेगी. कैसे करेगी? प्रधानमंत्री ये योजना या चीफ मिनिस्टर वो योजना. The price of the indiscipline of the grasshopper will be paid as taxes by the ant. Ants को टैक्स किया जाएगा. जीएसटी पे एक सरचार्ज आ जाएगी, सेल्स टैक्स पे वो सरचार्ज आ जाएगी. And people will be taken money. Borrowings will be from the ant to feed the grasshopper. Prevention of Atrocities to Grasshopper Act passed by the Parliament. क्यों भाई तुमने पास किया? क्योंकि ग्रासहॉपर कमजोर है. ग्रासहॉपर क्यों कमजोर है? समर में वो नाचता था, उस पे क्यों हस्तक्षेप नहीं किया? वो तो हम नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि उसका लिबर्टी है, तो मरना भी उसका लिबर्टी है. लेकिन किसी भी सरकार के पास इतना दम नहीं है कि वो बोल सके कि भाड़ में जाओ, तुमने जो करना चाहिए. लिबर्टी टू डांस इन समर गिव्स यू अ लिबर्टी टू डाई इन विंटर. The price of the indisciplined is always paid by the disciplined. This is the tragedy of democracy. So we have to turn this upside down. This cannot be done by the government. This has to be done by a people's movement. And discipline will mean first fundamental individual discipline. Individual discipline will mean that you are culturally bound to a partner. That is the basis of any discipline.
So couple of points here. First one is कि जहाँ सर ने शुरू किया था कि ब्लैक वुमेन है, प्रेग्नेंट हो गई है 16 साल में, what will be a natural instinct? It will be compassion. Let's say if on individual scale अगर कोई मेरे सामने है, आपके सामने होगा, तो आपको भी दया आएगी और आपको लगेगा कि इसकी हेल्प करनी ही चाहिए. At individual level this compassion makes lot of sense. और इसी तरह से सनातन धर्म में भी सिखाया गया है. But now start thinking about if it is not case of individual women, if it is case of like 80% of women are going through this path. If you are having multiple sexual partners starting from the age 15 or 16 till 25, can you imagine that in India? We cannot imagine because of our Sanatan values. But just contrast this with also how they could survive in America or in the Western countries. I always used to think about it. कि आपने मल्टीपल सेक्सुअल पार्टनर्स किए हैं अपनी लिबर्टी, इंडिविजुअलिज्म, फ्रीडम के नाम पे, उनके जो बच्चे हो रहे हैं, ऑफस्प्रिंग्स हैं, उनका क्या हो रहा है? Who's taking care of them? ये जो लिबर्टी और इंडिविजुअलिज्म की बात वहीं पे एंड हो जाती है, क्योंकि वहां पे इस तरह के मैक्सिमम परसेंटेज जो है बच्चों का वो स्टेट ध्यान रखती है. स्टेट ने इस तरह के चिल्ड्रन की टेकिंग केयर के लिए, उनकी अपब्रिंगिंग के लिए, एजुकेशन के लिए, थिंक आप इररिस्पॉन्सिबल हैं क्योंकि आप लीगल वे में मैरिड होके फैमिली सेटल नहीं करना चाहते. यू वॉन्ट टू एंजॉय योर प्लेजर and would like to give the responsibility to the state. And then you are telling that it is an individual matter. If it is individual matter, then take the responsibility of all those kids which you are bringing into the world. ये अमेरिका की और वेस्टर्न सोसाइटी की दूसरे साइड की पिक्चर कभी भी डिस्कस नहीं की जाती. आपको जो मीडिया में बताया जाएगा, फिल्मों में बताया जाएगा, वो इतना ही बताया जाएगा कि देखिए वुमेन को वहां कितनी फ्रीडम है, देखिए वो कभी भी कहाँ पे भी अफेयर्स कर सकती हैं, कहीं पे भी लाइफ पार्टनर बना सकती हैं. बट रीड दोज अकाउंट्स एंड रीड देयर होल लाइफ, नॉट देयर 2 or 3 years of journey. Read their 50 years of journey and then you will come to the realization that these irresponsible individuals are behaving in a way because state has taken upon itself the responsibility of their irresponsible behavior. ये जो एंट्स और ग्रासहोपर की स्टोरी है, ये इसको क्लियरली डिपिक्ट करती है. लास्ट टू लास्ट सेशन में बर्बरिक का मैंने एग्जांपल दिया था कि जो बर्बरिक हैं वो महाभारत में एक यूनिक कैरेक्टर है. बर्बरिक कंपैशन के नाम पे ही कौरवों का साथ देने जाते हैं, क्योंकि उनकी माँ की शिक्षा होती है जो वीक होता है उसका साथ देना चाहिए. ओके, सो ही नेवर बॉदर टू चेक कि वीक अधर्म कर रहा है कि धर्म कर रहा है, और ही इज डिटरमाइंड इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ, ही गोज ऑन टू द कौरव साइड ओनली बिकॉज श्री कृष्णा केम एंड इंटरवीन, एंड even after Krishna counseled him, he did not understand it. That's the power of emotional attachment to these ideas. My special request to all youngsters today is that Marxist left liberal use these ideas in their classroom teaching to emotionally connect you with this ideology without showing you to the other side of what's happening there. They will say that it's your choice. JNU में क्या चल रहा था एक टाइम तक, और इनफैक्ट अभी भी सारे एकेडमिया में आप ह्यूमैनिटीज डिपार्टमेंट में देख लेंगे तो क्या पढ़ाया जा रहा है आपको? आर दे टॉकिंग अबाउट एनी ड्यूटीज एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज? और फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट डे दे विल से दैट यू टॉक अबाउट योर राइट्स. आप कहेंगे राइट्स में क्या गलत बात है, बट रिमेंबर द राइट्स comes with duties and responsibility. It cannot, separately be studied. जब आप वेलफेयर स्टेट का, मैं सर से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि कैन यू प्लीज थ्रो लाइट्स ऑन कि वेलफेयर स्टेट के कारण क्या स्टैटिस्टिक्स है क्राइम का जो बच्चे इस तरह के वेलफेयर स्टेट से डेवलप हो रहे हैं.
Now you talked about welfare state. Whenever Supreme Court or High Court wants to interfere on anything which is remotely disciplining an individual, they will begin with this charade and say we are a welfare state. I will say Ravana Rajya was also a welfare state. Even Ravana was running a welfare state. Can a state be other than a welfare state? By definition, we have not yet crossed that first question. Can a state be other than a welfare state? It has to be a welfare state, which means it will subsidize the indiscipline and make them more indisciplined. It cannot, like a mother or a father, stand up and tell the children, be disciplined, do your homework, get up at 6 o'clock, go to the school, go to the gym, go exercise, go play, don't be with your cell phone. No government officer can say. Now, हमारे यहाँ चेन्नई में बहुत सारे प्रवासी हैं जो अमेरिका में रहते हैं, और अमेरिका में रहते तो कोई डांटना पड़ता है तो बच्चे सीधे 911 फोन कर देते हैं और पुलिस आ जाती है. अभी जो बिटवीन नवंबर एंड दिसंबर हमारे चेन्नई में थोड़ा गर्मी नरमी होती है तो सब अमेरिका से आ जाते हैं, तो यहाँ में बैठते हैं और सडनली जाकर अपने बच्चे को थप्पड़ मारते हैं. बच्चा तो खेल रहा होता है, अभी मारते हैं तो बोलते हैं अरे भैया उस बच्चे को तुमने क्यों मारा? बोलते हैं अगस्त में इसने होमवर्क नहीं किया. तो अगस्त में होमवर्क नहीं किया अमेरिका में, आप चेन्नई में नवंबर में क्यों उसको बैंड बजा रहे हो? तो बोलते हैं सर वहां में मारेंगे तो पुलिस पकड़ कर ले जाएगी. तो इधर अभी याद आया उस दिन हमको ठोका इसने, तो आज जब तक इमिग्रेशन में हम पार करके नहीं जाएंगे इसको ठोकूंगा मैं. So see the problem that you are facing, and that is what Marx wants. That your loyalty should shift from the parents to your government. Who is standing between the loyalty to the government is only the family. Destroy family. Destroy it completely so that your loyalty will shift from family to the government. जब माता पिता का कोई, and there was a person called Sapsovich, जिसने ये थीसिस भी लिखा है, जिसका मैंने जिक्र अपने बुक में किया है, कि he says a city must be created where the children must not know their parents. माने it must be a city of orphans. And you create that site of cities after cities after cities so that किसी को पता न चले कौन उसका माँ है, कौन उसका बाप है, कौन उसका चाचा है, चचेरे भाई हैं, कुछ पता नहीं है. उसको इतना मालूम है कि एक सरकार है, सरकार के पास अपना लॉयल्टी दे दे. This is what Marx wants. And strangely, market also wants this. That is why chapter 3 has been titled, To Destroy Family, Marx Goes to Market. मार्क्स और मार्केट की एक पार्टनरशिप है, वेरी वियर्ड अलायंस. हम ये सोचेंगे भी नहीं कि मार्क्स और मार्केट की अलायंस है. मार्क्स और मार्केट की बड़ी साजिश है, अलायंस है, एंड दैट इज टू डिस्ट्रॉय फैमिली. और मार्केट की क्या है? व्हेन यू डिस्ट्रॉय द फैमिली, कंजम्पशन गोस अप. व्हेन देयर इज वन फैमिली ऑफ 6 people in a house, there is only one TV. If there are 2 families of 3 people each, then are 2 TVs. GDP growth goes from 5.4% to 7.5%. Government also likes this. GST collection आती है, सब कुछ ठीक है, लेकिन 50 साल बाद जो राम सर बात कर रहे हैं, हम विनाश की ओर अपने ही पैसों से टैक्स भर के जा रहे हैं. This is driving to commit suicide by our own actions. It is not somebody is doing this. And family will put an end to endless consumption. Family will put an end to greed. Supposing there is somebody who destroys market, माता बोलती है बच्चा ऐसा मत करना, तुमने अपना जो कॉम्पिटिटर्स को डिस्ट्रॉय करके कर रहे हो ये ठीक नहीं है. The only yardstick I have in my life, I don't believe whether I can take from my gurus, acharyas, mahaprabhus, nothing. I have asked only one question, whether my son will approve, whether my mother will approve. If both of them approve, it is absolutely okay. Can I go and tell my son I have done this with pride? Yes, tick boxed. If I go and tell my mother I have done this and she approve, tick boxed. Then I am sure all religions, all rules, all ethics will fall in their place. And they are my conscience keeper. It is not this mala, it is not this photograph of some guru, it is not some murti, some temple, some sloka, nothing. They are my living gods. They will go on monitoring me 24/7. But they are also egging me to do big things in life ethically. They are not dormant. They are also demanding. They are also making me grow up. They are saying, touch greater heights. My mother always tells me, और कुछ करो, और आगे बढ़ो. But she never tells me that Ram sir को खत्म करके तुम आगे बढ़ो. She will never tell that. That is why in 1947, Gandhi, when he was alive, Gandhiji was asked by Julian Huxley, और तब UNHRC form हो रहा था, he was asked to write an essay on human rights.
Right.
So he said, hey, human rights क्या चीज़ है मुझे पता नहीं है. He says, my illiterate but wise mother tells me a right is a duty well performed by others. And you should read it. It is available, 1947. You can Google and read from Gandhi's completed works. And he says, I will not subscribe to anything which is called rights. And we have created a constitution on fundamental rights. मूल अधिकार, इसको उल्लंघन नहीं करना चाहिए. And that has ruined us completely as a society. सबका अधिकार है तो किसका responsibility है, किसका दायित्व है? That is why we suffer from a very, very peculiar complex. As a society, we are duty-based. And whenever we are Bharatiyas, we talk about duties. But whenever we become Indians and talk in English, we talk about rights. So we suffer from multiple personality disorder. We do not know whether we are to talk about rights, whether do we talk about duties. मैं घर में तो ड्यूटी बात करता हूँ, लेकिन कोर्ट में जाते हैं अपना वस्त्र शस्त्र पहन के, my lords, this is a fundamental rights, article 14, article 19, article 21, ये मैंने पूरा एकदम जैसे कि विष्णु सहस्रनाम का रट्टा मारकर आया हूँ, एकदम बोलता जाता हूँ. It is a very big civilizational challenge. Though I am putting it very lightly, this is a civilizational challenge. We are like Hanumanji in Sundarakandam of Kambaramayan, at the end of Kanyakumari, near Kanyakumari he is there, and he does not know his own strength. सभी वानरों ने ये बोलते हैं कि हम इतना छलांग मार देंगे, उतना छलांग मार देंगे, कभी किसी ने बोल दिया कि हम लंका तक भी पहुंच जाएंगे. Only Jambavan was able to tell to Hanuman that, look Hanuman, you can not only jump up to Lanka and come back. And then only Hanumanji realizes his power. We are a nation like Hanuman. We have forgotten our duty-based issues or our strengths. We have fallen for this nonsense called rights and constitutional rights and fundamental rights and human rights. Exactly. And this has paralyzed us both politically and socially.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. So, to draw your attention to the cost of welfare estate, I have few numbers here also, taken from his book only.
I didn't touch
No,
this.
no problem.
I have gone to a civilization thing.
So, just to share this number, वेलफेयर स्टेट में आपने ये तो कर दिया कि जो किड्स हैं वो उनका स्टेट ध्यान रखेगी, फादर का कुछ पता नहीं है, सिंगल मदर क्योंकि मल्टीपल पार्टनर्स हैं, बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं, उनमें से एक दो का ध्यान रख सकती है, उसके बाद क्या करेंगे। जब हम पूरा 50 साल का आंकड़ा देखते हैं, पर्टिकुलरली अमेरिका का ही देखें, तो 60% ऑफ रेपिस्ट, 72% of adolescent murderers, 70% long-term prison inmates. The answer is quite obvious, come from who grew up in fatherless homes. इसका मतलब है कि अगर आप फैमिली तोड़ते हैं और इंडिविजुअलिज्म और राइट के नाम पे उसको यहां लेके जाते हैं, तो उसका डायरेक्ट प्रोपोर्शन आपके क्राइम से है। ये आंकड़ा कभी भी हमारी मीडिया डिस्कस नहीं करेगी, क्योंकि उन्हें तो ये लगता है कि इंडिया हेल है और अमेरिका हेवन है, और जो भी हमें बनना है वो अमेरिका की या वेस्ट की कॉपी बनना है। बट वाई दे आर नॉट डिस्कसिंग द फुल पिक्चर देन? दिस मैनिपुलेटेड नरेटिव इज कॉस्टिंग अस वेरी डियरली। एंड रिमेंबर, these data is coming, I found that this is coming from one website which is National Fatherhood Initiative. You have institute in America which is counseling fathers that why you should go back to your wife and why you should stay with family. Can you imagine someone running such kind of institute in India? But you can imagine that in next 25 years, the way our subjects are taught in our academia, it is leading us all in that direction. I'll give you one more fact related to this. Single mother का जो concept है, उसमें almost now 80% of birth is taking place out of wedlock. मतलब बिना मैरिजेस के 80% बच्चे वहां जन्म ले रहे हैं। Think about the cost of raising these kids onto the welfare state. अब एक क्लियर पिक्चर देने के लिए मैं आपको बता दूं कि ऑलरेडी स्पेन, ग्रीस एंड आई थिंक वन मोर नेशन इन यूरोप हैज ऑलरेडी बिकम बैंकरप्ट। पोर्तुगल, स्पेन, पोर्तुगल और ग्रीस ऑलरेडी बैंकरप्ट हो चुके हैं। और ये सिंपल है, मतलब ये कोई कॉन्स्पिरेसी थ्योरी नहीं है। इमेजिन करें इसको, इस पूरी साइकिल को। अब आप वेलफेयर स्टेट के पास पैसा कहां से आता है? टैक्सेस से, ठीक है। टैक्सेस कौन पे करेगा? जो वर्किंग क्लास होगी। वर्किंग क्लास की डेमोग्राफी अगर आप डिस्कस करेंगे तो वर्किंग क्लास में जब तक यंग पॉपुलेशन ज्यादा है तब तक आपके टैक्सेस आएंगे, रेवेन्यू आएगा। बट वी आर विटनेसिंग अनदर प्रॉब्लम हियर कि डेमोग्राफी का डिक्लाइन हो रहा है। इसका मतलब है कि जो यंग पॉपुलेशन है वो धीरे 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 ओल्ड एज पॉपुलेशन बनती जा रही है। जैसे बेबी बूमर एज कहा जाता था, अब अमेरिका, नॉट अमेरिका, राइट नाउ यूरोप इन दैट कैटेगरी, ठीक है। अमेरिका के पास अभी भी 10-15 ईयर्स हैं, बट यूरोप आज इस सिचुएशन में है कि ओल्ड एज पॉपुलेशन धीरे धीरे यंग एज पॉपुलेशन से ज्यादा होती जा रही है। उसका भी रिजल्ट फैमिली के कारण ही है, क्योंकि आप शादी नहीं करेंगे, बच्चे नहीं होंगे, या ऐसे ही इलेजिटिमेट किड्स होंगे तो डेमोग्राफी का डिक्लाइन होगा ही। और डेमोग्राफी का डिक्लाइन होगा तो वेलफेयर स्टेट के लिए पैसा कहां से आएगा? आप, क्योंकि जो हार्ड अर्न्ड मनी, जैसा भी सर कह रहे थे कि रिस्पॉन्सिबल सिटीजन पे करता है, वो उसी से आता है। बट आपने पूरी सोसाइटी को कहां पे लगा दिया है? सो ग्रेजुअली द डिबेट इज नाउ गोइंग ऑन and they are reversing their welfare state, all rolling out what they have done in last 50-60 years. ये डिस्कशन इंडिया की मीडिया में कभी भी नहीं होगा। ये डिस्कशन हमारी जुडिशरी भी नहीं कर रही है। ये डिस्कशन हमारे किसी भी ह्यूमैनिटीज डिपार्टमेंट के कोर्सेज में भी नहीं हो रहा है। So let's try to capture it through few infographics that we have taken from MR Sir book, and I would like to display it here. Can we go to the next slide? इसके बाद हम जा सकते हैं नेक्स्ट स्लाइड पे, क्योंकि जो भी हमने डिस्कस किया उसका एक पैटर्न है, उसको शो करना चाहते हैं। नेक्स्ट नेक्स्ट, विल कम बैक टू दिस, हम इस पे वापस आएंगे, अभी आगे बढ़ा दें इसे। नेक्स्ट, नाउ लुक एट दिस ग्राफ केयरफुली। आई एम गिविंग यू 1 minute to absorb what it is right now. Just 1 minute for imbibing. Look at these steps gradually where it is taking us. Because no subject now is studied in interdisciplinary manner, can you understand economy without culture? Can you understand economy without family system? Can you understand economy without welfare state? Can you understand economy without duties and rights? क्यों नहीं ये पूरा करिकुलम का एक चैप्टर होना चाहिए कि लास्ट 75 इयर्स का जो ग्रैंड एक्सपेरिमेंट है वेस्ट का, जिसको हमने सैक्रोसैंक्ट माना हुआ है कि यही सबसे अच्छा मॉडल है, यही इकोनॉमिक्स की टेक्स्ट बुक में पढ़ाया जाएगा, यही लॉ की टेक्स्ट बुक में पढ़ाया जाएगा, पर क्या उसकी पूरी आर्क बताई जाएगी आपको? ये जो इंडिविजुअलिज्म प्रमोट कर रहे हैं, आप कभी भी वाइज हैं तो माइक्रो लेवल पे समझ सकते हैं। इसलिए मैंने अपने पहले इंट्रोडक्टरी रिमार्क्स में कहा था, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड ऑल दीज इशू फ्रॉम मैक्रो पर्सपेक्टिव, बिकॉज दीज आर ऑल सिविलाइजेशनल इशू विच अनफोल्ड्स एंड टेक टाइम ऑफ 3 to 4 जनरेशन. Now the policy that Western country followed in 1950s, 60s और just before that, उनका एक पूरा complete arc बन रहा है. We'll come to the multiculturalism and demography problem later on, but look at how society collapses. One more chart I would like to show you after this. Next one. एक और आगे बढ़ाएं. Look at the vicious cycle of welfare state. क्योंकि ये स्टेप इतनी ग्रेजुअली कनेक्टेड हैं और अनफोल्ड होने में इनको 10 से 15, 20 साल लगते हैं, इसलिए आपको नोटिस नहीं होंगे ये. जब तक आप 100 इयर्स की हिस्ट्री नहीं पढ़ेंगे तब तक नहीं समझ में आएगा. स्टेट ने क्या किया कि जो फैमिली की सारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ये कहा कि स्टेट करेगा, बच्चे भी हम संभालेंगे, इनकी पढ़ाई भी हम कराएंगे, इनका मेडिकल भी हम देखेंगे, एंड सो फोर्थ. द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बिलोंग्स टू फैमिली, नो डाउट. अगर आप किसी इंडियन से पूछोगे कि आपके बूढ़े माता पिता की सेवा कौन करेगा, तो बोलेगा मैं ही करूंगा. क्या आप इमेजिन करेंगे कि ये कहते हुए कि नहीं स्टेट करेगा उनकी? या आपके जो आउट ऑफ वेडलॉक बच्चे हो रहे हैं, क्या आप उसको स्टेट को देंगे? अगर स्टेट फैमिली का रोल प्ले करता है, ये मैन को एब्सोल्यूट फ्रीडम दे रहा है और वुमेन को प्रॉब्लम में डाल रहा है. ओके, एंड देन द फेमिनिस्ट इशू इज डिस्टॉर्टिंग द होल थिंग, एंड आई हैव गिवन 3 pointers एट द बॉटम. लिबरल्स क्या कर रहे हैं? इसको रैशनलाइज कर रहे हैं. जुडिशरी, जैसा सर ने कहा, इसको राइट्स के नाम पे ला ला के पूरी फैमिली डिस्ट्रक्शन में लगी है. इनफैक्ट इफ यू लुक एट द केसेस ऑफ लास्ट 10 years और 20 years, जुडिशरी पूरा प्रयास कर रही है अननोइंगली और नोइंगली कि इंडिया में फैमिली सिस्टम सर्वाइव नहीं करे. इवन दे आर मेकिंग मैरिजेस सो डिफिकल्ट बाय ब्रिंगिंग ट्विस्टेड लॉस विदाउट नोइंग द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस. वी मस्ट स्टडी देम प्रॉपरली and expose the ideology behind that. And third, state, क्योंकि अभी कहा कि स्टेट के लिए इजी है पॉलिटिशियन को कंपैशन के नाम पे, वेलफेयर स्टेट के नाम पे कि नहीं हम ये सेवाएं दे देंगे, इनको ये कर देंगे. इवन इनफैक्ट तमिलनाडु का सर आपका जो क्रैश, स्टेट ऑफ क्रैश जो प्रोवाइड किया था, उसका एग्जांपल अगर आप दे सके तो.
Yes, I have provided how Tamil Nadu started a cradle scheme for unwed mothers. And they found more children coming into the cradle scheme because of people dropping their children. It is something which is unbelievable and unthinkable that this was started because you think economics through your heart, not through your head.
Right.
Economics is a subject you should only think through your head, not through your heart. And a welfare state by definition says we will think of economics through our heart.
Right, right. Thank you. Can we go to the next slide? Next slide. Now, just to give you glimpse of कि कैसे इकोनॉमी कल्चर से कनेक्टेड है, कल्चर कैसे फैमिली से, ये बार बार क्यों एम्फसाइज कर रहे हैं? क्योंकि अगर हमारे इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी, सोशल पॉलिसी, जुडिशरी, हमारे एकेडमिक सब्जेक्ट अगर इसको नहीं समझेंगे तो knowingly or unknowingly they are pushing us on to that direction. Sir has beautifully explained in his book about this paradox of saving. Maybe I'll ask you to please elaborate on this. कि सेविंग और कंजम्पशन को लेके जो डिबेट चल रहा है उसके सिविलाइजेशनल कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस क्या हैं?
Okay. Now if I ask you which is the richest country or one of the richest country in the world, most of you will say it is America, right? Am I correct? I don't see any voices coming. I think the breakfast is not working. Yes, good. Now let us ask, a richest country will give money or which will borrow money? It will give money, right? Now if you are very rich, I will come and say, please give me some donation, please give me money for this, please give me money for that. So you will say, take it, because I am rich. But do you know, America has a borrowing of around $37 trillion. Now, who has given that money? Good money has come from American corporates, American citizens. And it has also come from countries like India. India has a foreign exchange reserve of 600 billion, which means we have excess money, and that is not in the Tijori of Reserve Bank of India. That money is actually converted into bonds and it is placed in the international market. Now, in the previous slide, sir showed you when families got nationalized, corporates got globalized. Because families became the responsibility of the government. Government responsibility like providing water, sanitation became privatized and went into the hands of larger companies. And they started what is called as de-risking themselves by putting across various countries, and they had a Vaishvikaran of their products, and so that they can de-risk themselves. But then, we have placed our $600 billion with the global market. Somebody must be there to also absorb it. Now you have 100 rupees with you. You want to go and put it in some place. Where do you put it? It is in the bank. If there is no bank, where do you put money? Now individually, you can go and put it in the bank. Now bank is owing money to you. You actually are putting money in the hands of the bank. Who is rich? It is the individual who is rich. And who borrows money? It is the bank. But why do you trust the bank? Because it will give you money anytime. America is like a global bank. It will borrow money from Bangladesh, from Japan, from Germany, from India, from Pakistan. Every country it borrows. Vatapi jirno bhava. And it has eaten all the money. And it is not only eating the money, it is also consuming all our products, our textiles, our software, our machine. China produces so much of machine. Vatapi jirno bhava. And usko China ko isne ek patra mein de diya, we owe you money, dollars. उस IOU को रख के China कुछ नहीं कर सकता है. It has placed in the international market, which again is borrowed by America. America's demand for goods is so high that probably 6% of world's population consumes around 35% of global production. So we are all enamored about America, about its consumption. So China, India, so many countries produce goods and give it to America. America gives us dollars. We do not know what to do with the dollars. We give it back to America because America can borrow. And we gave the IOU and we are so happy. We have $600 billion of reserves. China is poor guy. China doesn't believe in God. But you say America, he will believe in God because he has lent $2.5 trillion, $3 trillion to America. Whenever a professor will know, as a professor of finance, whenever a bank lends you 1 crore, 2 crore, 5 crore, he will say NPA, कल आ जाना, पे कर देना, नहीं तो खराब हो जाएगा, आपका लोन अकाउंट को मैं NPA कर दूंगा. लेकिन आप 10,000, 15,000 ले लो, कोई बात नहीं. द बैंक मैनेजर विल कम एंड से, सर कल मैं तिरुपति गया था सर, आपके नाम में मैंने अर्चना की थी सर, सर लड्डू लीजिए. बिकॉज यू ओन द बैंक. China has lent so much money to America that Chinese are praying for America and America is praying that China should give them money. This is where Trump is coming and is trying to destabilize it. It's not going to be easy, but that's a different subject. But till now, American problem of borrowing is and Chinese problem of saving excessively. What is the problem of China? China is not consuming. There were 4 grandparents, 2 parents, 1 child. Now China is not consuming, it is only saving. And it is saving, and when you get so much of saving, you start export savings. And only fellow who will eat it is America. So China and America are like 2 drunkards. Swamiji, I'm sorry, I'm giving an example of 2 drunkards, you should excuse. You see 2 drunkards walking, they will never fall. They will somehow or the other guide it and go till end. But one fellow falls, other fellow will also fall. That is the law of drunkards. So China will fall, America will fall. If America falls, China will also fall. So you have created a global instability. And why it started? Because Americans did not believe in family and started subsidizing indiscipline of the blacks. And China did not believe in family and its values and started to curtail it to one-child norm. Both differently. It is not related, but it is happening at the same time in our period or our generation. That both are having an intersection point. That is between 1990 and 2025. This 30 years is an intersection point where American profligacy is meeting Chinese extreme way of saving. That is why Ben Bernanke, one of the former Federal Reserve chairman, जो हमारे Reserve Bank के chairman governor जैसे हैं, उन्होंने कहा कि China indulges in savings glut. इतना सेव कर रही है कि दुनिया को बर्बाद कर रही है. So you see how excess of anything is dangerous. That is why we say even Amrit beyond a point is a poison. We say this.
Exactly.
So we have to be balanced. And again I come back. A person who will ensure you are consuming, you are producing, you are saving, you are investing wisely is a family.
Right.
And when you destroy this, संतुलन को बैठ जाता है. और जब संतुलन चली जाती है, सबका विनाश होता है.
Excellent, excellent. So you get the whole world economy picture and how it is connected to family. And this chart clearly shows on the paradox that's happening. Government, due to the influence of modern Western economists, they are asking us to consume excessive consumption क्योंकि economy boom कर जाए. हमारी family value और community value है कि हम save करें. इसमें से कौन सा रास्ता चुनना है ये बहुत कॉमन सेंसिकल और वाइज है, हमारे हजारों सालों से बताया गया है. बट इफ यू गो अगेन थ्रू टेक्स्ट बुक एग्जाम्पल एंड पॉलिसी मेकिंग, यू विल लर्न द अपोजिट ऑफ दिस कि सेविंग करना पाप है, सेविंग करने से इकोनॉमी नहीं चलती. अच्छा, सेविंग नहीं करेंगे, एक्सेसिव कंजम्पशन करेंगे तो आपको उधार करना पड़ेगा. अगर डेट लेंगे तो उसको पे कौन करेगा? डेट लेंगे तो आपका पूरा जीवन जो है उस डेट को चुकाने में जाएगा. And it's not individual debt. As sir is also telling about, it is state debt and national debt also. That's counting here into this. Okay. Now we'll open to the questions. Before that, I would like to go to the next slide, maybe. Okay. We can skip this right now. Next. I'll keep this in background that ultimately, lot of issues that you study through various disciplines, whether it's about economy, culture, whether it's about family, individual rights, duties, you will find that if family system is not maintained, you will not have equilibrium, as sir is mentioning about it. आप सोसाइटी और सिविलाइजेशन को हार्मोनियस बैलेंस में रखना सबसे बड़ा आर्ट एंड साइंस है. If you go by one ideology, it can destroy you. If you go by another ideology, it can also destroy you. That's why those who are economy students keep these words in mind. We never had capitalist model exclusively. We never had communist model exclusively. What we had is indigenous model which combined best of both but avoided excesses of both. And that has never been taught. Of course, Dattopant Thengdi ji called it the third way. Okay. और उसका एक भी चैप्टर हमारी टेक्स्ट बुक में नहीं पढ़ाया जाता. Okay, so let's open up for questions now. We have around 10 minutes for question answer rounds.
Good morning, sir. I am Dipash Dubey and I have a situational question in my mind. So the situation would be, according to the new tax slab till 12 lakhs, there is no taxation. And in the new tax slab is applicable on the 12 lakhs plus income. For example, if a husband is earning 12 lakhs and a wife is also working and earning 12 lakhs income, and they don't even have the time to pay attention to the child in order to, feed the family and earn some living. So if a single person is earning 24 lakhs plus, they'll be hardly getting 18 lakhs in their account and making the family situation much more detoured. My question would be, should the government be making policies on marking families as a unit and nurturing the core values of our Indian economic systems?
I think I must congratulate you for a very well thought out question. It's a wonderful question. And the answer to this is a positive and a big yes, no doubt about it. But for this, we require some sort of a cultural change in our understanding of government, understanding of society, understanding of family. That is why retaining balance was being written. In the sense, I don't expect these changes to happen in my lifetime. But I do expect that in your lifetime, this will happen. And I hope one day you will become the finance minister. And one day you will implement this also. Because I don't see the current debate within the political system lending itself for this type of very fertile, new, bold, yet rational ideas.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Khushbu Jawar. My question is, we all are young and we are facing in the age that how we can manage our career, culture and family when when the partner both have financially freedom and there is no dependency. Previously, there is a dependency between the partners. One is not financially dependent, but now both the partners are financially independent. So how we can manage our long-lasting families with our cultures and family values as well. We don't want to freely enjoy our independence as a US culture adopting. So how we can manage these three things with our culture and traditions?
Okay, it's a very, very difficult task in the modern society with the peer pressures to do. I think Ram or me did not face this type of pressure when we formed our family as much as, say, my son or Ram's children will be facing when they bring up their families. Because now it is more or less a given that both have to be earning members of the family. But we also have to, each individual has to think through the consequences. Even in Bhagavad Gita, finally, Krishna tells to Arjuna, this is my advice, take it or leave it. He doesn't say, this is my advice, you should do it. Now, nobody can advise a family as to what they should do. The husband and wife must come to the conclusion what is correct for them. But they should understand that consequences of what they are doing. The consequences is an independent wife and an independent husband are independent of the family also. They are so independent, they become independent of the family. Husband becomes independent of the wife, wife becomes independent of the husband, then bacha hi kya hai? Bacche hain, bas. And so each one has to take a rational decision how far they can lend themselves to being independent. Independence, absolute independence is a disaster. Independence without responsibility, without partaking responsibility will create chaos, crisis, calamity. That is why we abhor absolutism in any form. That is why he was talking about Deen Dayalji's work also. What is that absolutism? What is that discipline that they have to bring in? What is that they will be dependent on each other? Is for that formula is between the husband and wife. But you cannot work without a formula. That marriages are doomed to fail.
If I can add on to this only. Okay.
Yeah, you should.
Ashutosh, can we have next slide? Because that was...
You are the professor, you will always have the last word.
No, that I'll come to later.
Hello.
Just let me complete to that answer also. Look, it's not that we are the only society right now who are facing challenges. We kept our social order, we kept our family intact when Islamic invasions were happening, when British were destroying our industries. That was the harshest time. We are amplifying our problem beyond proportion. It's like, हमें बहुत पीड़ा है, हमें कष्ट है बहुत. We are not thinking otherwise that it is our desires that are getting us into our trap. अगर आपको चुनना है तो विवेक बुद्धि से आपको चुनना होगा कि can you live happy life, can you be peaceful, sustainable in your long life if you keep delaying marriages, if you keep delaying having kids and other things that are associated with it. Let's say even 10% of women would like to have that choice, maybe because of necessity. But I see that 80% of them are doing it only because they think that they have taken degree and they cannot sit at home. I'll be very bold and harsh about this. First thing that Sir said was that it is women who made uncivilized men into civilized. That's what our evolutionary journey is. Woman needs to play a central role in keeping the family intact. No doubt, man is also equally responsible. But you cannot raise kids without mother. That's hard fact. अब आपको चुनना है कि क्या सैक्रिफाइस, क्या कॉम्प्रोमाइज या क्या कम डिजायर रखें जिसके कारण ये मेंटेन हो सके. आर वी क्वेश्चनिंग अवर सेल्फ दैट, और ये एक पैटर्न बन गया, जब तक मेरा एक बंगला नहीं होगा, जब तक एक कार नहीं होगी, जब तक मैं 2-4 वेकेशन पे नहीं चला जाऊंगा जहां पे 4-5 लाख रुपए मैं खर्च कर दूंगा, तब तक हम किड्स नहीं करेंगे. जस्ट थिंक अबाउट, अगर आपके पेरेंट्स ने ये सोचा होता तो क्या होता? वुड यू हैव बीन हियर? इसको कहेंगे सनातन धर्म में कि पंच ऋण आपको अपने उतारने पड़ेंगे, और उसमें पहला ऋण है पितृ ऋण. नेक्स्ट जनरेशन को लेके आना और उसकी कंटिन्यूटी बना के रखना, एंड नॉट ओनली लेके आना, नॉट इन अमेरिकन स्टाइल बट इन वेरी सनातनिक वे. वेरी धार्मिक किड्स, हेल्दी, psychologically healthy, physically healthy, and contribute for the national well-being. We have forgotten that. We have excessively become me, I, my problem only. Just come out of that. Now, I understand this is transition phase. We do not have traditional support system, and we do not have Western welfare system also. But believe me, still in India, 80% of us are rooted in our culture and in family. You take one step, society will come and help you. Have that courage and confidence in your society, in your surrounding, in your neighbors also. That's why I've given this list of Hindu view of family. Sponsoring is first. Second, having children at right time. And you are delaying it because you have a lot of desires and you would like to satisfy that first. And remember, if your father, mother have thought about that, what's the consequences? Focus on simplicity. No one is talking about that, because once we talk about that, आपको क्या फर्क पड़ता है? हम अपनी लाइफ कैसे भी जिएं? But remember, when you say that हम अपनी लाइफ कैसे भी जिएं, तो उसके consequences 25 years बाद क्या होंगे, वो भी आप ही के होने चाहिए फिर जाके जुडिशरी में और स्टेट में अधिकार नहीं मांगे. Remember, we cannot have welfare state like America, whatever we can plan. We are 5 times bigger than them in terms of population. I'll talk about other points, but we can continue with questions.
नमस्ते सर, मेरा नाम दिलीप सोनी है. आपने सर सत्र के दौरान एक उदाहरण दिया था कि हम जो ह्यूमंस हैं वो एप, और जो एप्स हैं और ह्यूमंस हैं उनके बीच आपने एक कंपैरिजन कहा था कि जो एप्स हैं उनके पास कल्चर नहीं है और जो ह्यूमंस हैं उनके पास कल्चर है. इस कंटेक्स्ट में कि वो पॉलीगैमी या कि मल्टीपल सेक्स पार्टनर्स और जो ह्यूमंस हैं वो नहीं रखते हैं. तो मैं ये प्रश्न है मेरा आपसे कि ऐसे कौन से घटक हैं, कौन से फैक्टर्स हैं जिनसे हम डिसाइड करते हैं कि उनके पास कल्चर नहीं है और हमारे पास कल्चर है, तो हम उनसे बेटर हैं या कि हम खुश हैं वो खुश नहीं हैं. मेरा ये प्रश्न सर.
Culture is what we are. Civilization is what we were. You have to understand the difference. Today's culture can be polygamy. Today's culture can be liberal. Today's culture can be multi-partner. But civilization, that is why the name of the book is Retaining Balance, the Eternal Way. The eternal way is one which is a sustainable model. Like Ram sir goes on repeatedly telling, you try a model for 50 years and it has broken. Here we have a model which has run for 5,000, 10,000 years of recorded history, probably much, much more beyond recorded history. And it has seen so many challenges in the socio-political economic field. Yet we are a nation today as the same nation as we were 10,000 years ago. So what is it that the software that ensured? What is it that the app that ensured that we transited from apes to Homo sapiens and continue beyond that, making progress in every field, science, technology, spiritual, philosophy, mathematics, name anything, law. Why is it that India could prosper? It is because of its rootedness to an eternal culture. India only has an eternal culture that transmutes into a civilizational proposition. And that is the fundamental issue of monogamy. Monogamy is restrained, culture is restrained, civilization is restrained over a period of years. And that is what was taught to us the first day when we taught about the institution of family. Without family, no other institution could have progressed, because man would still be an ape. This is my hypothesis, this is my submission, this is my book's foundational basis. If you want to challenge it, give me a contrarian view, I am ready to accept it.
Sir, here, my name is Arun, sir. Thank you for the wonderful insights and session. Sir, in the start, you mentioned the polygamy leads to become jihadi. Sir, first I request you to explain the very word jihad from your own perspective and Islam perspective. And sir, polygamy was permitted in Islam, not encouraged, and that was permitted to maintain social order because many women and children became a widow and orphan after the war of Arabia, and still for polygamy persists for many reasons. So sir, my question, in practice, like polygamy is permitted in certain conditions, that then what makes it ethical or unethical in today's context? Sir, you talked about also talked about rights and duties. You talked that In JNU, people often talk only about the rights. Sir, I'm from JNU doing my research in IR. So, sir, the scenario has changed a lot. We also know, we are well aware of our duties and rights also. So, my question is, in India, we citizens have fundamental rights like freedom of speech, protest, and right to freedom. Yet we also bear duties to obey the constitution and maintain law and order. Sir, when movements like...
if you can restrict to one question.
Please listen to this if you will.
Just be short then.
Okay. So, sir, when movements like Shaheen Bagh, foreign protest or RTA campaigns try to expose governmental failures, should citizens prioritize holding the government accountable or stick to compliance with state laws, or does doing so risk undermining very authority and stability of the democracy that requires it?
Okay. To answer your first question about jihad, I am no Islamic scholar, but all that I know, and this I have quoted in my book, if you care to read my book, authoritative sources which say that jihadis are usually unmarried men. Married men don't become jihadis. Please understand. This is statistical. You can draw the inference from it that unmarried men are lured into jihadism, and absolute jihadism leads to even not caring for themselves and their lives. And the theological allurement is there is a 72 who are waiting for you upstairs. Now these are all uncontroverted facts. I have used this as a metaphor, not as a research on jihad. So I will answer only to this point. Now your second question was a long drawn sermon. I couldn't understand the question part of it. If you can say in one sentence, I will reply. What is that? You want to say right should not be there. You think right should be there, right? Yeah. So nobody's thoughts. In fact, you say we are looking at a balance between rights and duties. We are not saying duties should only be there and there should be no rights. In fact, I have written an elaborate chapter on rights, but I have quoted Gandhi. See, both of our collective wisdom cannot be much more than what Gandhi's mother had. I am not talking about Gandhi. Gandhi's mother says every right is a responsibility or a duty well delivered. Can you beat it? Now the Shaheen Bagh and other things distracts you. These are not leading to any meaningful solution. I did a PhD in economics precisely in agricultural laws. So what the government did was to bring a law which was beneficial to large section of the farmers, and some farmers did not find favor to it, and the government in all its wisdom withdrew it. Now what is the problem in this? This is a part of democracy. There's nothing to do what we are discussing. Yes, sir.
Just add on to this. This is just an excuse that has been given for polygamy by Islamic apologists. That war happened and ended almost 1300 years back. Now, war that happened 1300 years back, how can you justify the same polygamy issue in 21st century when you are having no war and still you are promoting polygamy? This is just, complete whitewashing of the issue. Second, ask Islamic women or Muslim women what they think about polygamy. Have we done survey among them? Have we read the accounts of those Muslim women who are writing from Iran or Saudi Arabia or in India? Do they really support polygamy? When you get genuine and real voices are coming out, women will openly come out and oppose polygamy.
And I will also advise you to read verses 36 to 45 of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna Vishada Yogam, Arjuna starts stating that war will lead to killing of able men. When able men are killed, women will exceed in number. When women exceed in number, they will start marrying multiple times. Their character will go. In the sense, he starts lamenting about so many things. Please read that 10 questions and then satisfy yourself about polygamy.
So, no, sorry, we cannot have more questions. We have already exceeded the time
Okay.
for the session, and I know it's a very interesting session, and you can continue the discussion even after the session ends.
Yeah, the third umpire has given us out, so we have to get out.
Yeah. So now we'll digitally launch Sir's book. So can we please? Yeah. So now I'll request Ram sir to kindly explain the cover page of this book. It's titled Discovery and Bharat. Sir, you can take the mic. Christian Constitution in a Hindu Nation.
Again, it's my honor, sir, to just say a few words about this. I became fan of his work when he wrote this Retaining Balance, and I first of all request you to go through work that thoroughly. Continuation of that work and taking it to directly where the problem lies right now. If I ask you one thing, which is the most colonized institution in our country right now? Which is functioning through colonized mind these days? Your parliament, your bureaucracy, your judiciary. Judicial activism and judiciary has taken a great height when we talk about colonized mindset and the way they are implementing, interpreting, misabusing the whole constitutional characters and using the Christian values or the Western values for their interpretation. This book is all about understanding first how to decolonize Indian legal system, Indian constitution or judiciary. And for that you need to understand where the roots of colonization lies in our judiciary, in our constitution. And that gives you a huge scope of understanding this through almost 700 or 800 year history and the root of our own constitution lying in Western values. We think that our constitution, all the chapters and features has been designed by our own people. But what you will find layer by layer, the decoding can be done, of course, by master like him, that how to read the colonial biases in those and how we are continuing those colonial biases even after 75 years. And this is something we need to expose, we need to question, we need to explore. If we need to decolonize our judiciary, this is the must-go read book for you.
So the link to order this book is available in the Garuda's bookstall. And we have shared a QR code to pre-order this book. So this book can be pre-ordered in the participants group. Number two, the Sir's book, on which this session was based on, this is called Retaining Balance, the Eternal Way. And we have published the second chapter of it, Mummy, What is a Daddy, in your concepts note book that will be given to you. And you can download the ebook on the QR code, which is there on the back, the Sanskriti Synthesis book. So thank you so much, sir, for the session. And you can continue.
This image, of course, he has beautifully get it designed. What do you think this Deepak is all about outside the parliament? This is our indigenous knowledge system, Indic perspective, keeping the light alive outside the parliament because we are not getting the space. It's thoroughly colonized. And once we get that Deepak inside, then the decolonization process will start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So ending this session on a positive note, I have two requests. Please mention your name before asking a question and the place to which you belong. So please remember, when you ask a question, please mention your name and the place to which you belong. Thank you. So now we have a 10 minutes break for water and washrooms. You can have it. Please come back to the hall quickly. We are already exceeding the time. The next session will be Who is Raising Your Children by Shri Anurag Sharma ji. One more announcement. जिन्होंने भी right side में अपनी vehicles park किए हैं, they are requested to park them on the left side because of security.